Have you ever felt like you have a higher purpose and sometimes you just stop yourself and you don't know what step to do, and your brain is telling you, you got to do this step, this step, this step. And you go, but none of that is working. And then you feel this confusion. The confusion is actually a very good place to be. And so I'm going to talk about that as we have our experts. We're going to do a panel today. It's not something I do all the time, but we're going to go in there, and I really want to serve your purpose in opening your voice. Maybe you're dealing with some really big things. Like, I think almost every day I feel like that because I'm always looking, how to open my mind, how to feel the freedom, the safety, and like the healing, like letting things go in my body. And I hope you're on that journey too. If you're here, I bet you are. So today we have Kevin O'Connor, and he is known for Two Stories Above Grief. Did I say that right, Kevin?
2 floors above grief.
2 floors above grief. Thank you. And we'll talk more about that because that is connected with this higher purpose. And then we have Susie Mearswick. Did I say that right, Susie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, let me tell you, everyone, I've interviewed both of them more than once because I really enjoy their purpose and what they're doing. So I think I know their last name, but just wanted to make sure. And Susie is known for really sowing the oats in your heart and being able to open your voice. And she is doing a higher purpose also. At Fresh Talks Global Vision, we are talking about hashtag Speaker Lock in Arms, and that means using our voice to stop blaming and shaming. My name is Rhonda Liebig. I am the founder and host of the show. Welcome in, and get your journal, get your pen, and start creating what life you want in all of this: the freedom, safety, healing, opening up your mind, opening up your voice. The area that I want to hold the overall umbrella in is confusion. Again, like I said earlier, the confusion is when you really have those big breakthroughs, because if you're casual and you say, hey, everything's okay, I'm doing all right. Well, every day you show up, if you show up that way, you don't have that leaning forward and going, why? What is this about? But if you can get in that space every day, you are going to feel some type of confusion because you're wondering, how can I get that flow of what I need? So the definition for me, I did a few plaques here at some point, and I believe you don't have to read this, but let me just show you. There's 3 pillars here, and I believe to really build resilient space for yourself, the second level right here is confusion, and really acknowledging that is actually a really good thing. It's the most painful, vulnerable space to be. Confusion is the fog before clarity, a sign that transformation is near. So hold that in your heart. Know that there's a safe space here, and bring out your vulnerability and maybe spaces you're feeling confused, and let's go for it. Take a breath in. Kevin, if we can start with you, and then Susie Mearswick will get to you right next after Kevin. Can you share what you're doing here? Like, what is the thing that you're really holding space for to help humanity? Because I see you out there speaking and writing your newsletters. Everything is so wonderful. And thank you for being here, my friend.
Great. Well, what brings me here to you today? What brings me mission, purpose, all those words, confusion. Certainly, I think I get confused every day. You've put a new spin on it just in the last 5 minutes, though, in just helping me appreciate that confusion. And it's probably the confusion that I've had at different points of my 75 years of life that's helped me get to where I am. Because I guess as I'm thinking about it right off the top of this short hair here, I'm thinking that without the confusion, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair talking to you, because each element of confusion along the way, whether it's my professional life or personal life, has led me to the space where I am in now. And you used the word space earlier. So the space I'm in right now is to help people navigate their grief, and to recognize that grief is part of our lives. It's nothing to be shunned away, pushed away. I view it as something to incorporate because it's not going to go away. So in the space I'm in, currently I'm giving some presentations. First one was on Saturday about the title is called Being Mortal. So one of the things we talked about in this group on Saturday was just the idea of we are all mortal and we're faced with decisions, let's put it in our framework today. We're faced with confusions about that. And part of that confusion, whether it's our own immortality or the immortality of others, and not immortality, our mortality is what we really are. When we're faced with that and the confusion that comes with it, I want to help. My mission is to help people navigate that and get through it in the same way I am. The other day I was introduced as an expert. I was surprised. I guess it's just because I'm spending some time with this and learning about it. And when people come to me, like I did Saturday, I turn it back to them a lot of times.
Yeah.
Them tell us their stories. So that's where I'm at right now, hearing other people's stories, helping normalize the whole concept of grief, helping it be part of who we are, and finding the joy in the grief. And that's really what I'm on a mission to do with not only myself, but with others with whom I work or write for or reach out to. So that's a little bit about what I've got going on right now.
Yeah. And I feel the safety in that, when you can reflect and help somebody really see themselves and really have those conversations about truth. I feel like we're getting feedback. I hope. Does anybody else hear the feedback? Anything?
I'm hearing something, but I'm not sure where it's.
Yeah, me too. So hope we're getting a clean conversation here. Susie, there's something that you were showing when we were in the green room and you were talking about this higher purpose of what you're doing. Please share with what you've been up to.
Well, let me just share this with you and with your listeners. For the last 15 years, one of my purposes has been to help others throughout the world. And a vehicle that I have discovered is called Samaritan's Purse. Wow. This is a nonprofit that provides gifts for children all over the world in the most far-reaching outposts on the planet. And all year long, I start purchasing little gifts that you can fit into a shoebox. They're non-perishable, little toys, socks, little coloring books, Play-Doh, a necklace, a hat, anything you can fit into a little box that will be sent to a child all over the globe. The Philippines, Africa, Guam, all over Eastern Europe. No matter where, any place you can imagine, these packages go. And since I have been an educator for most of my life, working with kids, I have a heart to put a smile on people's face. So when you see the smiles on the faces of these children that are getting a gift, it just makes your whole day.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. And, who doesn't like a gift, especially when you feel like maybe you're not being seen and heard and you get some special thing that you start seeing these things that somebody created for you. God, that just feels so special. I remember and I'm going to go back to confusion because I want to go right in there and even get more in depth of your story about your time. And Kevin, you and I have had some really good conversation about, your beginnings of really learning more about yourself, learning how to communicate what that is, learning about acceptance, because this human condition, I feel like we're partnering today. If I'm speaking about, that to open the voice, stop blaming and shaming, there's so much that we deal with around that. Can we go in there, Kevin, about about the confusion and kind of the umbrella is about, learning how to be connected, that is your next move forward when you really actually feel confused and just let things go. But also when you find that space where it's so confusing because you're trying to shut yourself down because there's something about you're trying to blame it or shame yourself about something, but you learn that that's just not going to stop you, because if you move forward, that's where we grow and stuff. Can you share a story around that, around your personal story?
Sure. Many.
You want me to prompt you? Because I have some. I mean, Kevin. I'm getting to know you. So you just tell me if you need a prompt, but I bet you have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, many stories.
A good vulnerable one, my friend, because I can.
Yeah, and I guess part of it has to do with some of the stories I told in the book, 2 Floors Above Grief, and that goes back to my roots. It's a memoir. And it's a story. There's stories in there about what it was like for me to be born into and to grow up 2 floors above a funeral home, along with my family and my cousins, my aunt, my uncle, my mom, and dad. So certainly when I tie it back to the grief work I'm doing now, I grew up in an environment that I didn't know any different. I was surrounded by this, and not that it had to be explained to me or sat down, but knowing from a young age the kind of work that my dad and uncle did in our own house, I was very aware of the people that came in and out of the business, even though the business wasn't connected to our apartment. I was certainly very aware of what brought people there. So, yeah, one of the stories, I'll tell you one story about. This month every month has lots of stuff, but this month is one of the designations is a month for people that have lost children to miscarriage or to stillbirth, people that have lost loved ones in that way. There's a story in the book about my dad sitting me down when I was about 10 years old to explain to me why there was a 10-year difference between my older brother and me. And he went on and to tell me that it was because there had been 5 miscarriages with my mom and him in the 1940s. And so that having had that discussion at 10 or 11 years old and incorporating that into my life, I realized that how much appreciated I and my younger brother were, because he came shortly after me, after my mom had some surgery to help her hold on to her pregnancies. But I realized that how loved I was and how appreciated I was, and have always held that close to my heart. I also realized that whatever karma is out there, it's likely I wouldn't have been born if some of those miscarriages had come to full term and to birth. That I don't foresee my parents. I would have been then the 7th. I was the 7th pregnancy. I don't think I would be here because I think my parents wouldn't have had a big family. So that part of there's confusion there, but I think part of this, one of the stories I have is just to share that appreciation. And as I look on social media this month with so many stories and comments about parents who have lost a child or are always coping with the concept of losing a child at birth or in a miscarriage. It never goes away. And it helps me really reflect and wish that today I could talk to my parents about it some more, because at my age, I didn't really think to talk to them about it. And but it helps me understand when I read about other people, it helps me understand what they experienced as a couple, those in their early years of marriage. And I'll leave it there.
And I just channeling or just kind of having some insight here too. I love what you shared, because that is not really a story that you and I got to sit with. I mean, I've heard a few stories, and you're lovely in the way that you share your resilient space. Because when you're starting to feel confusion and really step forward, that's one of the resilient pillars that we talk about. And if you don't have that confusion, it doesn't help you build that deeper resiliency. So the work that you're doing now, I wonder if your mom and dad up there just guiding you so that you can hear, what their journey was since. Did you say you're 75?
Yes, I am.
75. Yeah, I love talking to you because your insight, and then you just keep growing, and you understand that your work is very important. So I do see that gets you out there. Susie, for you too, I see so much of you out there. You're standing and you're talking in front of people. You're getting, podcast interviews. And when you're putting, these boxes together, I know that your beginnings of like stepping into this type of work, there's some really good stories. This might be like what we say, third or fourth conversation. Mm-hmm. Can you share an area for you where there was like this confusion and you were starting to really recognize that it's actually good things that kind of forced you or open gates, whichever way you want to see it, to be able to be where you are today? Please share.
Sure. Now, I feel like I was confused for the first part of my life. I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel like I was anybody, really, to tell you the truth. And it wasn't until my life broke open after my divorce that I started to pick up the pieces and examine things and put it together. And when I was writing my book, Sow in Tears, Reap in Joy, A Transformational Journey, I saw the pieces of survival that I use. And I think that everyone can use these too. I call them how to navigate your life when your lifeboat hits the rapids. And you have 3 key steps. You have to look in, you have to look out, and you have to look up. So in myself, when I was broken, I had to see, what don't I know? What do I need to seek to learn? And this was at various stages of my life. Then I had to look out for support. And this is what we all need to do, no matter what we find ourselves in, whether we're navigating an illness or a betrayal or a job loss or a divorce, whatever it is, we always need to seek a source of support, maybe 2 or 3, because we can't do it alone. And then the other one, look up, is we have to look up to God for guidance. These steps aren't in any sequential order, but it makes a nice little acronym, the IOUs of survival, because we can use these tools every time we're confused.
Yeah, I understand. You know what I was thinking about? Does everybody see we're all in blue?
Yes, I see that.
When I think about blue, because I used to work along somebody that their master's was in colors, and it really helped me understand, like the vibe of what we're sitting in. And so blue is known to impact the mind positively. So today we're holding the space of safety, and then we're talking about confusion, which is, well, you really need safety in that space to feel what you're trying to say to everyone, but say it in a way that people can really absorb it instead of bounce off, because we're not in that calm space. So the blue is really positive. And then patience and understanding. That's one of the things I feel is like tied in with the no more shaming and blaming. It's like learning how to be, like forgive ourselves, going to our younger self to be able to have that patience and say, I will see over you, whatever I felt I needed at that time, or when you felt confused, you're there for that layer of yourself so that you can love on yourself more. And I had times when I was very exterior, and I would look at myself in a physical way, and I would look at every fault I had, and everybody could raise their hand probably on that. And then when I started going into this area, looking at the resilient pillar, the passion pillar, the innovative, like all these pillars that I think that if we get some guidance in those areas, that we start seeing something different. And that, like you said, look up, and then, God is right there. Your spiritual journey is there, that we know that we're not alone. Mm-hmm. And we know that even though we may be alone, but we're really actually never are. And we will never be alone if we don't abandon ourselves. So when I started looking at my body in a way of like, I could see love. And so when I look in the mirror, I would love everything about myself. Like I'm in my mid 50s, and I think, of course, we're all aging. Like, I mean, we can't reverse to when we're in our 20s. And I go, oh my God, you are the most beautiful person ever. And I think everybody is. And I just love being with people. I guess my third and probably last question, because we're just going to flow with this now, is when did you start acknowledging that you love yourself? And what are the things that, and what I want you to do is when you're sharing that, and Kevin, you've been writing notes, maybe there's some areas that you want to add some layers into this, but I'm going to start with Susie at this point, and then Kevin, you can go next. But when did you learn that you could actually love yourself more? It wasn't embarrassing if maybe you felt that, because I know I did. And when could you stop seeing yourself for physicality, that you started really seeing what you're doing here and how you can help others love on themselves? But first you start reflecting on yourself. Where did that happen? Think of the people you're talking to that you work with. Like, what would you want to say to them?
Well, I think that at one point or other, we all realize that we're broken in some way. But when we walk through that, whatever storm it is at the time, that's how we build resilience. And we know we have strength within. So this strength that I've built by going through all the journeys and all the valleys and hitting all the low spots is what enables me to encourage others. Because I know my story is not unique. It's just one story out of a million, but we're all trying to make it. And I think at some point or other, we feel this brokenness, like I'm not good enough. You know, they didn't teach me that. I wasn't raised that way, etc. We feel that inadequacy. But when we go through that into a new plateau of life and see that our trials and triumphs encourage and help others, then we say, like, wow, there was a purpose. There was a purpose. I learned something. I can pass it on. You know what I mean? Even if it's just a pat on the back, or it's like, keep going, you know, I've got you. You're going to be okay. The fact that we've struggled, we can now connect to others that are struggling.
And what I hear is that thread on when you start seeing others, and like you can be a superstar because you're seeing everybody can be a superstar, and it becomes this love fest of like, I'm just here being a superstar. I'm just opening the space for you, and I'm gonna hold that space by sharing my stories, sharing my book, sharing the box that I get to send to others. And I know when I was in corporate and doing accounting work, I was just so harsh on people. And of course, if I'm being harsh on people, I'm being harsh on myself. And I got so exhausted because I was playing a game. So I hear that you're not playing a game. You're like, hey, no, this is truth. This can happen. And this is how people get motivated around you. And I love all your pictures and your stuff because you're always dressed in I love using sexy, because sexy vibe is part of the resilient pillar I was talking about. And that's the first step. And the next step is confusion. And sexiness is in us. It's like that innate of, I have this energy that's just yearning of information to get out there. And so you can hold the space for people to just lean in and go, you're right. I can feel that when you bring the safety into that. So I appreciate your work, Susie. I really do. Susie Mearswick, I really appreciate it. And thanks for being here for the times that we've been together. I feel like with Kevin and you, and we were talking about, doing this together, I could feel that our heart space was like, because I always listen like, here, what is this Fresh Talks Global Vision about? Like, what are we doing here? So I knew we had to be together. I hope we're nailing it for you, by the way, you guys. I hope we are. Kevin, for you, what do you think? Where is that where you are really seeing your work out there and speaking to your people and what you're feeling inside? Please share.
Sure. Well, what I heard in your first question, when you first presented this, the question incorporated the word first. When did I first actually start loving myself? So that caused me to go back. And certainly there's been times when I haven't loved myself. But if I go back and recognize the first, I think that has to do with the parenting I had. And I feel blessed and fortunate and grateful for that because I know that not everybody has that. But for me, when I use that word first, I first started actually loving myself in our home when I was a child, before I went to school. And although I can put, I can remember some situations, but it's been so long ago. But I know that's where it happened, because if I think about what happened afterwards, when I was feeling low or discouraged, maybe in elementary school when I got pushed into a field by a bully, or when something happened, I knew I could go to that place where I knew they loved me, and again I love myself. Even as I got into many adult challenges, whether it be the loss of someone, and you, Susie, talked about loss, in terms of divorce. I've been there a few times, or coming out as a gay man when I was 55. Those kind of struggles put me in a position where I wasn't loving myself for a while. What I was able to do, though, I like your IOU thing, Susie. I was able to go back and just tap in and say, "Hey, Kevin, you may be down now, but you know how to love yourself. You know how to get back to that because you felt it." And again, fortunately, I felt it at a young age. So, but over the years, I've just, through each struggle I have, whether it's the things I mentioned, job changes, getting jobs that I didn't want, taking or getting let go from jobs, or experiencing the estrangement of adult children, which is a child, which is very difficult and something I never thought I'd experience, but I am. But I know that I still love myself. And I think what gets me through those situations is to say, "Hey, it's okay to make it about you. It's okay to be selfish. It's okay to love me, to get me through, not around, to get me through the situation I'm in." And even now with marketing a book, where there's lots of challenges with that, or working in the public speaking world, to getting engagements and putting it all together. There's still those things that creep in and say, "Oh, this isn't going well," or "Why am I beating myself up?" Remember, Kev, that you do love yourself and you have conquered this. Going back to the resilient pillar there too, that I have mustered the resilience many, many times, and I just have to know, whatever situation I'm in, that I can seek the resources that can help me. So that.
And you both have been talking about this, like working through instead of working around, what you just said, Kevin, and where that can take us. If you work through it, you get to feel that, how to find your freedom and find your safety. When you first start going through, you may not be able to feel any of that because that's where all the confusion is. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? But if you don't numb your emotions, maybe slightly, maybe a little cupcake here and there, or or a little drink here and there, because you're like, man, this is so intense. But really getting into truth, the more I open myself up, the more I will be able to go through with those learning experiences. And the thing that I've been learning so much in the mindset, but also just in this journey of being able to hold this space, with this show and coaching and stuff, is that we have love within ourselves. Both of you are talking about that self-love. That's what we've been holding the space for. And so when you're with somebody as a partner, or you're out there speaking, you really know that all the love that you're reflecting out there is the deeper love that you have within yourself. And the more that you can learn about yourself, the more that you can get reflection out there and be able to grow your business, have deep personal relationships. New people will come in that want that conversation because they say, "Oh, I love that energy. How do I get that energy?" And I love that your speakers out there, getting that journey going. Do you two have anything as we finish just about loving on yourself more, and if there's maybe a different view, or you want to add more to what I said about the reflection out there really is the deeper level of love within yourself? If I could give you a couple minutes just to give yourself a moment to talk about before we head out.
Well, one thing I just like to leave our readers with, and that is no matter what you're going through, what pit or what trouble or challenge, you have to go through it. And I know when I was going through my own divorce, I actually pictured myself going through the fiery door, because there's no way to the other side of whatever you're going through unless you go forward. So sometimes we're scared, we want to hide, we want to disappear, want to go back in time, but we know we have to move forward, and it's going to burn, it's going to sting, it might hurt, okay? It's not easy, but if you picture yourself going through that fiery door, there's a new life on the other side.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin, how about for you, capping it off? And
Yeah,
then
well, piggybacking on what you're saying, Susie, certainly what you're saying relates to that concept of grief and the idea that you can't go around grief. You have to go through it. And you have to, whether we picture it as fire or peace or whatever we picture the surrounding area, you have to go through it to get to the other side. The other thing I've been doing, experiencing in the last 10 years with people I've been working with for LGBT advocacy, I've changed my interpretation of the idea of coming out, being stuck in a closet and coming out. When I'm doing seminars with people, I talk about let's talk about the going to instead of the coming out. And
I love this part, Kevin.
So then it helps to reframe that. The other thing, I'm going to do some more posting in the next few weeks about the concept of, instead of saying I got to go to the grocery store, saying I get to go to the grocery store, or I got to work on this relationship. You say I get to work on this relationship, because I know there's a lot of people that I know that aren't healthy enough to do the get-tos. There's a spirit of gratitude when I change my thinking from got to get to, and it gives me a baseline. Hey, I get to do this. So.
And I feel such gratefulness with that. I feel such gratefulness when it's such a challenge. Sometimes I get this extra roar, like just like this energy, and roar to me is about rebalancing your organs and revitalizing. Like all of a sudden your nervous system calms down and you can hear more than you were able to before, because it just feels confusion, chaos. And so once you start going to and I get to, yeah, that's more powerful, Kevin. Susie Meyerswick, Kevin O'Connor, I think we did it again. I really appreciate your time.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
You're welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Please show your book again, Kevin, and I'll make sure we get some more information. Then we'll get you, and Susie, you too. So, Kevin, put it on the side. I want to see your face. Susie, I want to see your face. So 2 floors above grief. And then Susie's is sow in tears, reap in joy. And that's what our themes are, huh? Like it's great. Thank you, my friends. I feel the love, and I feel that my heart is activated even more. And thank you so much for saying yes to us, for you to be able to hold this space, because I know sometimes it's hard to go there and be vulnerable and just be relaxed and share. And so I'm happy that you were here to do that for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Have an insightful day, everyone. Fresh Talks Global Vision. If you have any questions, make sure that you contact Kevin O'Connor, Susie Meyerswick, our show, Fresh Talks Global Vision. This is where you get to go into your confusion. Like we said, go through, because that's the pivot of when you get into the bigger purpose. And I love how Susie painted this picture of like flames, because you think, oh, I need to get away from the flames. But what she was talking about, and Kevin also going to, and then Susie talking about like walking through that, because that aggravation, that confusion resets the nervous system. So you actually get to go through and do bigger and bolder things, because you go, hey,